My name is Steve Smith. This is TQA Weekly. This week is about converters and adapters for signals that have to do with your computer monitors, televisions, laptops, or towers. And before you spend another cent, just listen to this show. You will have at least learned something before you go out to Best Buy, Future Shop, or any computer store and have bought the wrong type of tool. So first, you will have probably kept something for a really long time, probably connected to your TV, and it may or may not be in the same technology as your current monitor or television, whatever it is that you're using right now. And what this ends up doing is it turns us into these crazy beasts that go outside and try to buy any type of modified cable or cable adapter to allow us to do things such as going from HDMI to VGA or in the opposite direction. And this doesn't always work out the way we expected it, because here's rule number one that I want you to remember. Digital and analog are not compatible. They're not friends. They don't even like each other. They don't talk the same language, and therefore you actually need a translator. Think of it this way. I speak English and French, so I can go to an English party or I can go to a French party. I am fine, but technically that makes me a translator or a converter. So I can actually take all of the speech from these two groups of people and actually render them out into a logical form. However, if you speak only English and I stick you into a French party and you don't know what words, well, that's exactly how analog and digital feel in these parties. They don't know what the heck's going on. They need help. So if we're going to be talking about going from an analog source to an analog destination, or a digital source to a digital destination, you can use an adapter. There's no problem. Technologies such as HDMI, DVI, and even the new DisplayPort are intercompatible and they work all together fine. You can buy adapters all day long for this. If you're going from BGA to RCA or even coaxial, and I'm referring to the ones that are red, green, and blue, well, in this case, well, they can all talk to each other. They're all analog. There is always a way to get the signal to cross over, or you get a little box that actually syncs all the signals together so that it actually looks different. Sometimes the computers that had the coaxial output had the output there with the idea that you could even use an S-video cable. So as long as your TV accepted that, you would be fine. So if you're going from analog to analog, adapter. If you're going from digital to digital, adapter. But if you're going from analog to digital or digital to analog, you need a converter. And before you buy a converter, I would like to point out one thing. Most adapters are by default bidirectional. They function in both directions because they do not do any signal translation. In fact, they just make it possible for the pins to line in the correct place. But in the case of taking an analog or digital signal and turning it into another analog or digital signal, you need to translate the signal. But it also means that you need to use the right type of converter. So if you are going from HDMI to VGA, don't use a VGA to a HDMI converter. It's in the wrong direction. So if you need a VGA to HDMI, buy a VGA to HDMI. If you need an HDMI to VGA, buy an HDMI to VGA. And the rule is simply from the source, which is first, to the destination. So source to destination. So if the source is HDMI and the destination is VGA, then it's HDMI to VGA. I hope this clears up a lot for you before you spend a lot of money on things you cannot use. Keep in mind, adapters are bidirectional, converters are not, and in the case of converters, the source is the first name and the destination is the second name. Make sure you write it out correctly and buy the right ones. I hope you learned something from this. And if you didn't already subscribe, please subscribe. And you can also help me out with other shows like this by going to patreon.com/TQA Weekly. And of course, you can always email me at ask@tqaweekly.com so that I can answer your questions on this show. Have a great day and goodbye.